Victorious Vanguard.
Knowledge born.
Yeah.
United Front.
Tell it.
What you want, what you want, what you want.
To the Knowledge Radio.
We in here. What you got? Dot.
Work hard as a slave to one day be your savior. The wave unwavering. This is a labor of love. Rise with a purpose every day. Invigorated. If we were on TV, we'd be 10 times syndicated. If we waited for validation, a paycheck or accolades, we'd be starved, already lost or ran away. But when you're square, solid, and you circle too, you don't need a place for silence. The concept is conquered through media, not areas of people activity. A mix that don't lose ethnicity, tightness that don't lose elasticity. Explicitly, this isn't where we give the novice regard. Nah, this is where knowledge is born. Last time that I checked, I'm undefeated. Deliver edicts, can't resist when the gods build and manifest freedom. When lines get crossed, they may push a loss, cause they get handed a check. We kick your can and cancel your cancerous gestures. A prophet vision, precision, the prescription for the sickness is to inoculate your fate with the winning. Arrogant beginnings turn to humble endings. And US with KBA is a win-win. 1K, 1K.
All right, peace and black power. Welcome to another episode of Do Knowledge Radio. Place where knowledge is born. This is your host, Knowledge One a Lot, and I'm here on this Black Love Day. You understand? And what better person to orient our minds back to what the truth is in regards to our priorities and positions than my brother and our priest, Brother Oba Ade Dayo, in the building.
What's going on, Knowledge? How you?
I'm good. I'm trying to be like you when I grow up. I told you, man. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, I'm still growing up, man. I'm still growing up. Yeah.
Right. I mean, I got something to look forward to. You understand what I'm saying? I'm still growing up as well. You see what I'm saying? So that's a good place.
Yeah.
How you been? It's been a minute. You know what I'm saying? I see you to and fro out here working, a lot of shifts, a lot of pivots. You know what I'm saying? That was 2020 for you going into 2021.
2020. I took it on the chin. Like I didn't take it personal. It was a year.
Right.
It was a little bit arduous on everybody. Interestingly enough, for me, in my charts and stuff like that, that was a good year for me. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Real shit.
So I've always kind of lived off the grid, so to speak. I was raised by people that lived like that. My father was like that. So I don't really depend on the economy and what's really going on. I kind of find my niche and just, continue to do that. So coming into 2021, it's optimistic because it's a new year. You just want to see what's going to happen next. Everybody in a frenzy. I try not to, react to the stimuli that they put out there, but it affects everybody. You know what I mean? It's a change of life. It's a lot of irony within it. It's ironic or interesting to see what people's their views are on things, because this is a very transparent time. Like everybody's thoughts is on the internet and on some sort of media, so everybody's giving their opinion. So you kind of but the opinion is kind of it's shaded because everybody got their PC and they fake a little correctness and all that. Right. So you don't know what you're really getting out there. So it was a good, like I said, it was a year nonetheless that you get another shot to finish some tasks, things of that nature, things that one necessarily hasn't gotten around to. You get another shot to do that. So it's a blessing like in itself. Like I said before, I was telling you, I don't have no worries, man. Like what I'm worrying about. If I can't change it, what I'm gonna do about it? Like,
right.
Me. So it was a good transition for me. Because like I said, I don't react to the stimulus that they project on us.
That's a real thing. My grandfather used to speak like that. He didn't waste words. You see what I'm saying? So if you didn't get what he said in the space of 1 to 3 words, then you wasn't listening. You know what I'm saying? First part, I used to call my grandfather and I'd be on the phone with him for like 2 minutes. That's a long time with grandpa. I'm like, what's up, grandpa? How you doing? You know, what you gonna do? You understand what I'm saying? Like, that's a whole 3-hour conversation, but he said it just like that. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, he just commented on everything that's going on the news.
Everything.
But what you gonna do? Got right to the point. Like, right now, if you come and drop the wrench in my lap and tell me to go fix it, then I got something to do. But you don't know how to fix it. We ain't got shit to talk about.
Right. He done checked on the family. He done asked about the children. All of that. You see what I'm saying? Because he knows it's gonna go there. Everybody's doing good. Blah blah blah. This and this and this. And that was it. You know what I'm saying? He's like, hey, it's Miller time. You understand what I'm saying? It's a wrap. That was the end of the conversation. Since when I was 5 to 35, that was my grandfather, conversation. It didn't matter how long it took, whatever, if it took years in between, whatever, that was it. You know what I'm saying? He told me something when I was 5, and I lived by it. You know what I'm saying? Even though I worked hard to disprove it. He said, make it easy on yourself. You know what I'm saying? So that was it. He was like, yo, make it easy on yourself. And that was it. And I spent, the greater, wonder years of my life making it hard for myself, not knowing and reflecting back on that pearl of wisdom when he said, make it easy on yourself. So when I started that process, shit got easy. You know what I'm saying? It got easy, After difficulty comes ease, but in that space, and you decide what's difficult and what's easy. You know what I'm saying?
Certainly. You create, you came here with all your monsters. When you was in your mama womb, there was a bag of them niggas and they was all coming with you. You feel me? And you decided to play tag with these niggas. And so every once in a while, those bad things come and be like, tag, you it. And you're like, oh shit. Right. And so you come with all of that, like, and you just got to learn how to work it out. And that's what, a lot of the self-reflection is about. And, that attaches itself to your ancestry. You might be, repeating some shit somebody else was stuck on. Mm-hmm. Right? The motherfucker was stuck on the bottle, and then now you got it. You still trying to do this maze. You trying to do this puzzle that this other nigga couldn't get right. You understand? And so it's important that we go back and look at those people and see what it is that they suffer from, so that we don't continue to propagate those same traits or the same issues, right? It's interesting because last night, I did my little Chinese New Year rituals. Mm-hmm. So, you're encouraged to you burn things to send to the other world. So, like, I had like a stack of money. You know what I mean? Gold bars, little, like cell phones and things like that. You burn it for them so that they have it in their world, and then they reciprocate to you in this world. You know what I mean? And just like anything, you start to. So I'm in the backyard of my building doing it. Ain't nobody back there. It's nothing but snow back there. But as soon as I come out to do that, everybody come out in their backyard, everybody out the window. Yeah. Right? And that's an indication that it's working. that's an indication that it's doing the thing, because it's attracting other spiritual energy. Those the people that come in to look at their spirits is like, look, like
that's what you supposed to be doing, son. That
yeah.
you see that shit right there? With your bum ass, get your ass up.
Yeah. And
so I want to ask a question very quickly, if I could.
Sure.
How do you start? How do you start from scratch? You see what I'm saying? Like, we fractured, we broken, shit's fucked up in our mind. You see what I'm saying? Like, you saying you come here with, you know, with other people's shit and all that. Like, how do you start? Could we start, you know, from a basic understanding of how you begin? You know what I mean? So you can use you, or you could use whomever you helped on the path in regards to how you get started.
Well, so like after you usually, like, all right, so most people, if they come as a novice to me by way of recommendation or something or another, you know, the reading is going to necessarily tap into something about, because one of them spirits is now, it's like, oh snap, this is my shot, right? He's sitting down with the guy who can hear. So let me get it in right now. Like, hey, tell him there's a lady and I need help. And so now it becomes apparent to me. So now I'm like, all right, listen, this is woman, blah, blah, blah. Do you recognize who this person is? So the person may not recognize because they might have had some disconnection ancestrally through, you know, foster situations, adoption, you know, parents moving away, migration, things of that nature. You don't remember that there used to be great grandma used to hold you, but then your mama got into an argument with grandma, and now she don't talk to them, and then she moved to another state and trying to live her own life, and she don't fuck with those people, but you don't have no connection to them, but they got a connection to you. They know who you are. They betting on you, right? So that person now, it's apparent to me. I inform the person, listen, you got to go find out who this is, and so it becomes literally like the I guess the guerrilla ancestral.com. You got to get on your grind now, find out who's who. Like, all right, so what's your mama name? And what was her mama's name or her daddy's name? And, you know, where they came from? What was they into? Right? You know, so you find out these different traits about these people, and then it starts to put pieces into the puzzle. So now once you're aware of that, your interfacing comes by way of trying to acquire at least a picture of those people. If you can't get a picture, writing their name down on a piece of paper and putting it under a glass of water and lighting a candle and dedicating it to that spirit, right? And dedicating it to that spirit so that other images or means of expression become available. So even in my own case, I have very little pictures of my mom and my dad because I suffered through like a fire and different things, right? So in getting a hold of just putting a glass of water with them in the beginning, over time, they made it so that people call me up and be like, yo, I got this picture of you and your mom. Like, oh, really? Oh, yeah, I found this picture. This is your mother. You ever seen this picture before? And then I started to acquire those pictures, right? But it was only by me activating her. You understand? And so it's important that you create a space for your ancestors. And this is very important because you'll see that all through all other cultures, people have some sort of space for their ancestry. Mm-hmm. They denote a certain amount of space and time to it. And this is a natural, I want to say, defense against incoming calamities or tragedies that may befall upon you. You are allowing this spiritual energy and giving it an expression to now give you signs so that you can avoid it, because they're rooting for you. It's like a relay race. They're rooting for you. They need you to run your race.
Right.
You understand?
That's real. I think mine got some dice games, some crap shit going on. You understand what I'm saying? I think they passing around the bottle. They shooting craps. You understand? They got the roulette table in there. That shit is popping. They like, look at my boy. I told you, give me my goddamn money. You understand what I'm saying? Like, because they was wild like that here. You see what I'm saying? I can even imagine what they doing over there. You know what I mean? Like, so they like, my boy, what I told you. Hey, tell your uncle, bring me my goddamn money. You understand what I'm saying? So,
well, you gotta imagine that, just in terms of like, I mean, we talk about consciousness and all of that, right? If you've ever, like, those people who have been intimately in contact with death, like if they've had a family member die within their arms or whatnot, you know that immediately after the person died, that body lightens the fuck up. Okay? That shit lighten up. That shit don't feel the same. You be like, oh, I mean, like literally, like the person died, and then you turn and look at them and be like, oh, that nigga ain't there. That ain't them. You know what I'm saying?
True.
I had that with my moms. When I saw my mom's laying on the gurney, I was more upset at like if you see the bag and the bag ain't being used no more. Cause she wasn't in that body. That was for sure.
Right.
It was like, oh, that thing she used to wear that.
Right.
That shit ain't no more. So, you know, it's important that we have some sort of a visual context for the spiritual world. You know what I mean? That's why the photos is important, right? To see the person, have an idea what this energy looks like, because this consciousness, it's just what it is. It's consciousness, and so it doesn't require a body. It just requires thought. And so it's not necessarily tangible like you would want to be, but there's days that I can feel my mom's around. Right. Oh, she's snooping around here. What's she up to? I promise you. Like it's a smell.
You smell some shit, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. She, you know what I mean? My daddy the same way. You know what I mean? My father the same way. I could smell him. And that is because that consciousness can replicate the smell to my consciousness to indicate to my consciousness who it is. Right? So, you know, this see, because you hear me talk a lot about spiritualism. And I'm against everybody like just jumping into the African traditional pot. Like, oh, I'm gonna be a Orisha priest, or I'm gonna be a Vodou. Like, all right, slow down. Like, there is some major healing that has to happen with our ancestry here that requires the mechanism of spiritualism. You understand?
Right.
You know, the African tradition is cool, but how do you connect to it? You got to find a way to connect to it, and it has to be through your ancestry. Don't mean that they got to be Yoruba or they got to be from Dahomey or whatever. It just means that they have to have some sort of understanding of how that they are going to better your life through this mechanism of African science. Okay. And so spiritualism is really what Black people need as a whole. Like, afterwards, those who are gifted, right, and dedicated should be allowed to join in the fraternities of the traditions. But not everybody need to be initiated to something and all of that. That's not really necessarily, because a lot of people don't have the devotion to tend to the deities and things of that nature. And they like the material world, and that's fine. But they can still connect and honor their ancestors and have a better life experience. But all of this, everybody go jumping to become a babalao, everybody's going to become a priest, and all of this, it's counterproductive. Because it doesn't allow us to heal the sociological wounds that we have acquired over the entire transatlantic experience. You know what I'm saying? And so that you can see now, even on some, like, just not to jump topics, but 10 and 20 years ago, we was complaining about the crack baby. Well, what about the IG baby? Like, there's going to be a whole generation of children that have been neglected because Instagram had their mothers enamored and they weren't doing anything but looking on Instagram and taking pictures, and these children are being neglected. They're just in front of another TV screen, right? And there's going to be effects of that sociologically. So we have to go back and heal our ancestry and all of that. We have to heal the broken families. We got to heal the abusive relationships that are the byproduct of the broken families and things of that nature, so that we can have some sort of resignation, right? It's interesting. I was watching some white boy talking. He was a CIA agent, and he was talking about the difference. He was like, you understand that United States is only 200 years old. China is 3,000 years old, right? So they have a legacy of culture, right, that extends beyond whatever political views that they may have taken on or expressed at any given time. They systemically stay Chinese, right? They have a language, they have a writing system that attaches them to an ethnic group, right? And so we have to have the same thing, but we can't expect to have it right now. We have to take the time. So think about that. China's 3,000 years old, right? It done been up, it done been down, it done been up again. So we have to give time. We want freedom now, as I say. Everybody be like, I am supposed to snap my fingers, and then we got a black president, and then everything racism supposed to go away. Like, whoa. Take it easy. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're talking about a system. This thing is a net. You don't just cut yourself out of a hole and then think that everything is good. No, the net still exists. So we have to adopt this spiritualism so that we can go back and fix some of these bloodlines, right? And get to some of this pain that our ancestors are carrying. Because if your ancestry is your psychokinetic power plant, so to speak, as a people, right? Then ours is experiencing some glitches in it, right? Not all the batteries is firing off because there's some disconnects. So we got to go back inside that machine of our ancestry, and we got to go back and fix some things, right? And we have to do that with the mechanism of spiritualism, which allows us to first, because right now you could go to any ghetto right now, and I promise you're gonna run into a dead end in terms of a lineage. You're gonna ask a kid like, So who you come from? And he gonna be like, grandma. And like, what's your grandma's name? He don't even know what grandma's name is.
Right.
She ain't died and he ain't seen her. You might see her name on a funeral program, but he know her as grandma his whole life.
Right.
He damn sure don't know who great grandma is.
That's real.
Right? Or where they came from, and if anything, if they ended up migrating. So already we got this. That's insane, because you're talking about like just the disconnect of who you come from. So you just your whole start come from the projects. That's what you're telling me?
Right.
You just started in the projects. They planted your seed and you was born in the projects. Your whole family life.
On the 13th floor.
That's crazy. Mm-hmm. So we gotta imagine that we have to necessarily go back and fix some of this. Right? It's almost like on some Back to the Future shit. Mm-hmm. Okay? And it's real like that, because they say what you do today and tomorrow will affect yesterday. You can change the narrative. Like, we could go back and send those people weapons, and we can send them prayers and confidence, and they might revolt, and we might change the reality. You wake up one morning and they'd be like, oh, it was 75 black presidents. You're like, oh shit. Right? Because what you do, how you affect the past affects the future. So I'm just saying that we need to necessarily get in contact with at least reconnecting the bloodlines and finding some sort of where we come from, right? So because they was like, all right, we started here with slavery, but now at this point, Black America is not even proficient in understanding slavery in their lines in slavery.
Right.
So you can't even say like what plantation your people came from and nothing like that. So we're constantly being cut off from our past. So if we get Africa, we're talking about Africa for you don't even know what plantation and what state your people showed up in this original. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why I'm trying to promote this the spiritualism movement, because it's an easier transition for people who have been removed from African conscious thinking. You know? Not saying that they don't have African nuances within their culture, wherever it may be, but I'm saying consciously associating this connected to Africa. See, like the Black Indians in the Mardi Gras Indians, they know that they connected to Africa. They're very clear about that. They make that shit very known. Like, yeah, we connected to some Congo shit. So they're aware of that. But we have other nuances within Black American culture that just lead to a dead end, and you don't really understand that this is African, right? And so we need a revival of connectiveness, of origins.
That's definitely real. So you came out. I want to talk about the books for a second, and then I want to get into the lectures that you provide. The books, you know, one, you had a longer journey in writing the book. So what was the shift in between writing the first book and the second book? What did you find as a need or a motivation, you know, to write these books and provide them for?
Well, interestingly enough, when you go back to like when I first became vocal about any of this stuff on any platform, we go back to like Ambassador Asar and them used to have the radio show on Blog Talk Radio. And you know, after talking, some people would chime in and they would be like, "Yo, so how do I do this? And you know, how can I be down?" And I'm like, "All right, well, where are you?" And then it was just like, "I'm in Wisconsin. I'm in North Dakota and shit." Like, what? I'm like, all right, so this was a dilemma that kind of befuddled me for a moment. And at the time, one of my teachers, my uncle, who was still alive then, so we was like we was always in conversation. And I brought this to his attention. And he was like, you know what? Man, give him spiritualism. And I was like, what you mean? He was like, yeah, man, everybody don't need no Ocha. He's like, that's too much of a culture shock. And a lot of people, it's going to take them a couple generations to really comprehend that. He was like, but spiritualism, man, he says, you know, everybody understands grandma. And, you know, you got grandma, grandma is the one that you at least trust. So from a spiritual context, when you got this wisdom coming from the other side, everybody could dig that shit. So I was like, okay. So we kind of milled over it. So then my cousin, my uncle's son, he said some slick shit to me that day. He was like, man, why don't you write a book? And I was like, what you mean? He was like, man, like 100-page book, man, just like a guide, like a manifesto. And I was like, really? So I milled over that for a couple months. And then I started taking down notes and, you know, having like, so it would be, like the book is based off of questions, like what is spiritualism, right? So like, that's one of the chapters. What is spiritualism? So I go into that, right? And then I go into the different manifestations of what falls under spiritualism, like different talents and different gifts that people may have. And those, some that are acquired, some that you're gifted with, and then some that you can be, you know, cultivated. You can be taught and cultivated, right? And so I had kind of had the book for a minute, and then I kind of got a fever one day, like, yo, I gotta get this book out. And so it was a couple people that was like, yo, man, what's up with that book? And I was like, and I got inspired. And so understand that the first book is not really to my liking. Like it kind of, I didn't write that book really, and meaning like, I'm not saying somebody else wrote the book. I'm saying that the spirits wrote that book. And so right. Even in the mistakes in it, like, it was just like, yo, just put the shit out. Like, just do it. And I was literally having anxiety about that shit. Like, I just gotta get this book out, like, so they'll leave me alone. So I put it out. I have intentions on going back and re-editing it and going over some things, right? Mm-hmm. The second book was a need for an understanding that there was a gap that needed to be filled. You know, with everybody be trying to be quote unquote conscious and being somewhat aware of their Orishas and all that, there was no talk of children. And how do you as a person that may be converting to these traditions, how do you articulate that to your children? What way can you get them involved? Because really it's about the children. It ain't really about you. If you are converting to these type of traditions, it ain't about you. It's about your children having a chance to have some sort of ethnic identity, right? And so the second book, like, you know what? I'm gonna do a coloring book, and I just literally just got up and I started pumping out and this was the coloring book was in the beginning stages. I hadn't even put the first book out yet. You understand? Like, it was already on the table. Like, oh, I gotta get this coloring book. Like, right after I put this out, I'm gonna put this coloring book out. You know, the coloring book, I truly don't even really, I'm not even being like, I don't pay attention to it. Like, if it's on Amazon, like, it's there. If you are looking for something to process your children's minds into the concept of Black gods, this is available, right? So that I don't look for no profit from it, really. Like, it's there. You know what I mean? So that nobody can say that it don't exist. Mm-hmm. You know?
Okay. So you were lecturing before the book series, you know what I'm saying, and then you went on like a spiritual ascension joint, you know what I'm saying? You got low on us, came back, bounced out, came back, you know what I'm saying? Like, so, like, you know what I mean? You got your quad chain cane on and shit. You see what I'm saying? So I'm trying to figure out, you know, in the midst of the travel, you know, on your journey, you know, whether you physically left or you went through, you know, some things in order to get yourself where you are, looking at yourself when you started, you know what I'm saying? Uh, in this particular lane with vocalization, you know, what's some of the lessons you learned and what could you pass on to somebody who got that itch, you know what I'm saying, to do
Well,
what you do?
well, you know, I've been reluctant for this position for some while. Initially Chris kind of got me like stirred up because of the misinformation, right? And he was like, yo, look what they're saying. And I was like, what? That shit wrong. And I was like, you know what I mean? I kind of like ran out there, you know what I mean? Not really thinking about none of this. And in doing so, a few of my elders kind of like checked in on me. You know what I'm saying? So I was doing something with Sinette on 125th Street one day, and one of my elders kind of like peeked in. She was like kind of gave me the, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The okay. And then my uncle-in-law, he's married to my aunt. He used to be very active in the Hebrew Israelite in Brownsville back in the days. And then he's a Mason. He went through a lot of different chambers. So one day he saw one of my videos and he was like, "Yo, that's what you're doing?" And I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Yo, man, don't stop." I was like, "Why?" He was like, "Yo, because it take a lot of balls to stand outside and have debates with people about theology." You know what I'm saying? He was like, "That shit could get mixy." And he was like, "Yeah, it takes a lot to do that, to stand on your square." So with all of that, I had done a lecture at LIU. You know, it wasn't a large, following the people. It wasn't a large come out or show up.
I remember that, John.
You know what I mean? But anyway, you know, it was about necessarily putting the information out. I kind of fell back because I started to see the direction that the conscious, quote unquote, situation was going in with the debates and you know what I mean? So where we went from the people who was talking being doctors. You know what I'm saying? It was Dr. Ben, Dr. Henry Clark, Dr. Amos Wilson. You know what I'm saying? Like Dr. Francis Cress Wilson, Dr. Finch. You know what I mean? Like Charles Finch. It was doctors. These niggas was really doing what they were talking about.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, it was just like personality shit.
Janitors. And went to the janitors and the bedpan changers and the diaper niggas.
I'm not really looking for fame. That's the other thing. I'm gonna be 100 with you. I'm gonna keep it a buck. At the time, I wasn't really cool with the lectures because I was afraid of some Malcolm X shit. A motherfucker walking up and shooting me down or some shit like that.
Right.
You understand? I don't like that shit because I don't know all you niggas, man. I'm talking in front of you niggas. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't want that type of smoke. So I kind of like folded back, like, so that you only see it. Like I only do your show and Black Dot show.
Yeah.
You feel me? Not to say that there's other platforms that I won't, participate in, but I don't really be trying to do too much. Like I don't really want all of the, you know what I'm saying? Because I know that human beings are funny. See, they like a Messiah so that they could, the Messiah is the sacrifice.
Right.
See, so motherfuckers want you So they want you to not do what they do. Right? So you ain't supposed to get no trim. You ain't supposed to have no fun, no drink, no drive, nothing. Right? So that I could do it and feel better about myself because, you know, I do all of that, but you don't do it. And so when you do show up and do something, I'd be like, aha! And then I'm going to burn you. I'm going to put you on the stake.
Right.
Like, nah, I don't want that type of smoke. I'm not with it because I'm a raggedy motherfucker. Like, my shit all over the place. Like, I ain't nobody's Gandhi. Like, you understand? Now, but when it comes to what I do, I'm dedicated to that. So if I sit down and I'm giving you a reading on the map, I do not insert my opinion. Because I'd be looking at the spirits like, what is you talking about? Like, are you serious? They'd be like, mm-hmm. So I go through conflict with that shit. So when I tell you what I'm saying, it is what it is. I'm not here, whether you got money or not, that shit don't matter. It's still gonna continue to pop out. Like it's like a burning flare. It's just gonna keep doing what it's gonna do. So I don't put myself in a position for the conscious community or any black whoever to be like, oh, and straighten me up and have me all gassed up, like, oh yeah, everybody love me, and then they be like, get the firing squad. Be like,
crucify his ass.
yeah, like, I ain't with none of that. Like, you crazy? Because I don't want to be. I want to be known for doing what I do, right? And conveying the information that is truthful and reliable, right? When it comes to these things, right? Anything else, man, don't worry about it, man. Because you know, I've had situations in my life where I have done some things that are not of anybody's fucking good character, as they say, right? There are things in my life that I still have to necessarily unravel about traumas that happened to me or that I may have necessarily participated in. You understand? And so I will never get to be hypocritical and be like, oh, and throwing stones at nobody. Now, my beef does come in when people who are unqualified put their 2 cents into a conversation that they don't have you ain't got no stock in that market. What you doing here? You understand? Like, so I have an issue with all of the, like, I understand the ambition and and for a new thought and reclamation of things, but there's a protocol, and you know, you can't just get on the internet or whatever. So like you said, so now you're saying, how do somebody do what I do? You got to go do the work. Like, I ain't just pop out on the scene, you know, talking this shit like that. I got time in my community. You understand? So in my community, like, I have a reputation amongst old timers that they be like, oh, nah, he know his business. Call him to come do this. Or nah, only he could do this for me. You understand? Right. And I got a standard to live by with that. Now, the fact that I indulge in giving some of this information and clearing some things up, that comes with ridicule, right? And critique. Not everybody gonna be satisfied with how you do something. But at the same time, again, I'm qualified to do what I do. So when I see somebody and they're like, oh, this is my YouTube on the Orisha stories, and they don't know how to pronounce the Orisha's names, that shit is like, come on, man. Because you don't do that with anything European. You respect everything that come out of Europe so that you go and do your due diligence and you go get your fucking qualifications before you start talking on it. But African stuff, you don't value it. So guess what? You feel like it don't require no qualifications or no, you know what I'm saying? No study. And so you figure that you just because you black and you got melanin, that it's just supposed to just all become osmosis and you're supposed to just know this. And that's not the case. Right? And so I'm watching the prophecy of my elders, the people I came up under. They came up on the people who was like, yo, this is a secret, and stop telling everybody what you're doing. And now we see what the prophecy that they was trying to give, like, yo, this is going to get out of control. And it has. So that every girl is a witch now. Every girl is a sage, right? Every dude is, qualified to be a babalao or wants to speak on Odu and things of that nature. And you don't have the time. You don't have the time. And you have to respect the fact that this is somebody's culture. So before you came along to it, there was somebody already practicing it. And you got to follow our lead. You don't get to now change the terms of the agreement because it suits you. So the Orishas are not the Commission gods of Kemet. They're not. Let's just be very clear about that. They are not the gods of Kemet. Okay? They are not the superheroes, the X-Men. I don't care what Umar says about the Orishas in the comic, but he doesn't know what he's talking about. You understand? Because he's not qualified. The same way I'm not qualified to talk about children's behavior. I don't have a PhD in that. You understand? And I will never sit up here and tell you about ADHD. I don't have the qualifications for that. And so I stay in my lane. I'm going to need everybody to stay in their lane. So you can't have been Muslim 5 years ago and now you got something to say about the Orishas. No, you're still learning and you should keep your mouth quiet and you should internalize the information that you are now receiving. But you shouldn't be necessarily, because understand that this tradition has never had missionaries. We do not go around trying to convert people. You understand? We don't do that. That's not what we do. It's called awo, a secret. If you figure it out, then you can roll with us. But we ain't fitting to tell you too much. So it's a problem with the internet right now and the people because everybody's going crazy and they're like, oh, Orisha. And so now the American gods, everybody's, oh, they want to talk about. And it's like, that's not Oshun.
Right.
It's not Oshun. Okay? It's not Oshun. You have to, it takes a lifetime to understand Oshun. Okay? I have Oshun in my house for 15 years. I have way more years of interacting with daughters of Oshun before that because I got an aunt who has Oshun. And I have other aunts that are not by blood who I've grown up around who are initiates and carry the Ashe of Oshun. And I still don't know who she is. So what makes you think that you got a clue? You understand?
Right.
So I'm going to need everybody to, like I said, in the beginning, it was doctors. Dr. Henry Clark, Dr. Ben, right? Dr. Amos Wilson, Dr. Finch, right? Dr. Leonard Jeffries. These were doctors. These people were professionals in what they did. Now, somebody changed their fame. They be like, oh, I am Sobek, the universe eater, right? And now I got a YouTube channel and I'm going to teach you about ancient Kemet. Like, what?
Yeah.
Come on, man. We got to do better than that, man. So this is why
I think they had real good examples of bad examples. You know what I'm saying? They had real good examples of bad examples. They seen people come and do it before and receive perceived fame and notoriety.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So they were born. You said earlier about the IG babies. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
These was crack conscious babies because they learned from crackheads. You understand what I'm saying?
Certainly.
So they learned crackhead consciousness. Not even direct intravenously through a viral intravenous. You said like you wasn't even sitting in the room to get the crack from the crackhead. You understand what I'm saying? Like you got it vicariously through a third party, a virtual intravenous. You see what I'm saying? So they came out like this. You know what I'm saying? Like that shit in the Matrix. You know, those cats ain't had to be hooked in to go into the Matrix. They just lived in that motherfucker.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So that's what it was. Like they was homegrown. You know, like the brother made reference to it in the Matrix. They was homegrown, you know, virally infected by conscious crackheads and junkies. You see what I'm saying? Like and derelicts and you know, bums. You understand what I'm saying? Like, you know, my mother and my father and my grandmother and my grandfather preceded me in the walk that I was in, and I didn't walk into it until they said so. You see what I'm saying? As far as an utterance, you know, like so with like Dot and you know Rashid and them, they met my mother before we had a conversation. You see what I'm saying? Like, and then still, it was still like you know 10, 12 years before anything transpired. So it's like, okay, this is where I come from. You see what I'm saying? This is where I come from. You know, this my source code. She gonna tell you my story right here.
Right. She know
she
how.
told, she told exactly my family story in an hour and a half. My family story, her family story, my family story, and those was her qualifications for how she walked. You see what I'm saying? So for 35 years. You know? So that entire family story from this oracle, you know, was a qualifier of where I came from. You see what I'm saying? Like, so, you know, cats, and it goes with qualifications. I wanted to, you know, say that, but you had already spoke about it. Like, the beginning of your book starts with your qualifying. You see what I'm saying? It's your qualifying, you know, and, you know, a glimpses into your story and the story of your family before we get into anything. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, your story has to be out there. You know, if you could tell me about this man behind me, the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvin, you can't tell me about your pops. I don't even hear you. I don't even hear you. I can't hear you. You see what I'm saying? Because I'm gonna tell you about my mother, my father, my sisters, my brothers, my aunts, my uncles, and what they did. And then I can tell you why I appreciate the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey, why I appreciate Huey Newton, Fred Hampton, you see what I'm saying, and George Jackson, because I love my mother and my father. You understand what I'm saying? And their lineage. So now I can say this is why I'm out here, and this is what attracted me to everything else. You know, so if you don't, like, if there's no connection to what you do with your family, you know, like I always say that shit, like there's nothing. Well, just for the people that's listening, there's nothing that you learn, no book that you read or anything you study, you go under that's supposed to have you at odds with your family. If it's truly for you. If, you know, I understand they take time and they take exposure and all this other stuff, but we really be thinking we doing something new until you look into your family. If you looked into your family history, you'll find out you ain't doing nothing new. You see what I'm saying? Like, I tested one of my aunts. She's 73. I sent my brother Tahir RBG's a video Aleke. She said, "Yo, that shit made me dust off my Alekes. I ain't wore them in 30 years." You see what I'm saying? So if it was what it was in your family, it'll be evident. It don't matter how long it's been. She said, "I went and dusted off my Lakers. Nephew, I ain't put them shits on in 30 years."
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So you know what's in your family, indiscriminate to what the conversations may be. They might look, you know, a certain kind of way. You might think they was dealing with this from this perspective, but you don't know because it ain't for everybody to know. That conversation, you said that this shit was secret. I had that conversation with my uncle. I locked the door like, what's going on? Blah, blah, blah. You asking me about this and this and this. And then we went to this church and all this old shit. Like, what's going on? Stop playing. So he looked at me and he walked in the room. And then Oba, when he walked in the room, I remembered that was my uncle who used to beat my ass. You understand what I'm saying? Like, so I came in there like a man. I'm like, oh shit, I'm about to come back out with that belt and beat my ass. You understand what I'm saying? So
you remember who you was talking to.
Remember right who I was talking to when he walked off. And when he came back, he came with these and said, read this. So when I looked through the Universal Hegel Spiritual Church, Constitution and bylaws, I looked in the tenets and said, we believe God is man and man is God. I said, oh, what the fuck? I'm like, oh, what's like, yo? He said, I'm a scholar. I've been in this 50 years. Who are you? You understand what I'm saying? So I'm like, because I'm asking, like, yo, Uncle, how come you ain't never tell me we'd had all these conversations about this and that? You see what I'm saying? He said he got 50 years in the game. I'm a scholar. I had to make sure who you was. I'm like, Uncle, I'm your nephew. So basically that look like that don't mean shit. You understand what I'm saying? You got to do what they said in that movie. You got to bring ass to get ass. John David said in that movie.
Sure. No, that's the real shit. Yo, let me tell you. When I was about, I think I was about 17, 18. I had seen a John Henry Clark something, right? So I come home to my grandmom's. I'm like, oh, Akbar, this man was talking the talk. She's like, front door. Who you talking about? John Henry Clark? I said, yeah, that's his name. She said, oh man, you've been around him. I said, when? She's like, you remember when I used to take you to that church? We used to go to Manhattan. I used to drag you with me to that church and they be in there talking all that black power shit. I was like, yeah. He was like, yeah, he used to be talking to me. I didn't realize my grandma used to be going to first world. Because I'm just going with her somewhere, because listen, this is a part of my culture. Wherever we going, these niggas talking this black power shit. Everywhere we go. You understand? Yeah. They're talking about some Habaragani, and signing us something. Something grandma was involved in it. So I took it for granted. Like, what? She's like, man, you know John Henry Clark. You seen him before. I was like, oh, I do remember we used to go. She was like, yeah, because then she showed me Amos Wilson. I was like, oh, yeah, I remember him. Yeah. Right? Amos Wilson funny than the mom back in the day. So you got to understand. So I've been around this stuff, but you got to go back and you got to check in. So if you, like you said, if you don't tell me that you know about Marcus Messiah Garvey. Tell me what your daddy thought about it. Right. You understand? Because my father is the one who gave me my perspective on Elijah Muhammad. You understand? He's the one who gave me my perspective on Martin Luther King. You know what I mean? It was my mama who gave me the book To Kill a Black Man. My mama gave me that book. Like, yo, hold this. She was like, you want to talk about Malcolm and Martin? Read this first before you start talking to me. Right? Because my mama and them like, yo, you don't have enough, you ain't got enough coins to be debating us about no politics. You wasn't around. You don't know yet. Right? So until you can tell me you read this book and that this person had a sound perspective on some things, we can't have no discussion about no politics. And that was just real shit. You feel me? So that by the time I got to being about, I think it was around it was the Bush elections, baby Bush when he won. And I was like, yo, I told my mom, I was like, that nigga gonna be the president. She was like, get the fuck out of here. And I was like, I'm telling you. She was like, and what makes you say that? I was like, because I read a book. She's like, oh, really? I was like, yeah, I read a book. And that shit said that this nigga was gonna be the president. And look at here he go. She was like, get the fuck out of here. And sure enough, when that nigga won, she called me up. She was like, what book did you read that shit in? I was like, yeah. And I gave her Behold the Pale Horse. And she was like, oh, I had heard about this book. And she read that book. And we ended up having a lengthier conversation. You know what I'm saying? And it ended up having more conversation than her telling me about herself. Right. Right? And so, we living in a generation where nobody want to ask no questions or have no conversations with people about who they really are. You know what I'm saying? And again, this is a part of this whole thing with this ancestral reconnection. It's important. You got to figure out what them folks was doing before you. You know what I'm saying? Because you may be still struggling with the same puzzle that they had. And if you don't go find out and start from where they finished off at, you're gonna be wasting time. You dig?
That's real.
So you gotta imagine that, you know, if somebody else stopped at N, it's not gonna do you no justice that you start at A and then you gotta work your way up to N. Why don't you start where N is at, and then you can finish the rest of the alphabet? And that's where we've been at. We don't have no, you know, we don't have no medium in between that. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, this, like I said, I'm not with, everybody don't need to become Yoruba. That shit is not, you don't need to be Yoruba. That's not what I'm asking people to do. You don't have to be Lucumi. I'm saying, in terms of, and I'm not saying that even the Christian church, I'm saying that the Baptist church need to adopt spiritualism. They need to make that, they need to necessarily cultivate the mediums and the clairvoyance that they have within their congregations.
Right.
You feel me? And understand so that you begin to prepare the mind for the understanding of ancestral veneration. Then in the future, you will be able to accept the idea of performing sacrifice and devotion and things of that nature to altars. You understand? But first, one must become familiar with the idea of having an altar in the house. You dig?
My uncle told me
favorite Chinese people got altar in their crib.
Right. My uncle told me you could tell who want what by what door they come in. Because I asked him, you know, about the church and all that. You see what I'm saying? And you know, he told me about the founder, and when you do the history on the founder and blah blah blah, all of that. You see what I'm saying? You know, if you came in the front door, you want Jesus. You came in the back door, you know why you came in the back door. You understand what I'm saying? Like, so, you know, you could come in the front door, you know, sit on the front row in the pews and you get that. You see what I'm saying? I was like, y'all don't even fuck with him like that. He was like, let me keep the lights on. See what I'm saying? So a vast majority of the people come in the front door. A small select ones that are sent to even know that there's a back door.
Exactly.
Come in the back door. You know what I'm saying? So he said the motherfucker, what's the dude that had the steel and all that shit? What's the motherfucking name? The white boy had the steel and all that shit. I forgot his name. He said that they used to. My bad, I got a call. He said they used to argue with him and denounce him in the daytime and come in at the back door and see him in the night. You get that work done. You know what I'm saying? And he said every preacher that was running around hooting and hollering was doing the same shit. You see what I'm saying? They argue with him in the daytime and come see him for that work in the nighttime. You see what I'm saying? So that's something that they still provide. They still got practitioners. So you can go over there and hear and see church, you know, on a topical perspective, or you could come around back and get that work. And they still teaching those principles, and they ain't never depart from what they receive.
And that's all I'm telling people, that the spiritualism, you ain't got to go through no cultural shock and become a Bubaka, you know what I mean, Kihani. You ain't got to change your name. You know what I'm saying? You just got to honor grandma. You know what I'm saying? And you find out who grandma's grandma was, and you start to figure out, get some history on yourself. And get in the history, you get to understand certain things. You know what I mean? You know, that shit is real. Like you will continue to propagate the sins of the parents if you don't know what they are. You know what I mean?
Right. So you offering some stuff here, and you said you got a little hookup for, you know, the people watching on the broadcast. You see what I'm saying? Let's talk about the videos. You know what you got going on with theater and everything. You see what I'm saying? And what you providing for the people for we rap.
Well, you know, we did a class last year during 2020 on spiritualism, and a lot of people, I guess they weren't hip to it, and then just now finding out. So what we did was we changed the platform. We put it on Vimeo, where you get a chance to either rent the video or you can purchase the video, and it's pretty much it's either a lecture and then it's a Q&A, and the Q&A is just the people that were in the class having interfacing with me on the internet about questions that they may have had about the last week's lecture, so that we could get some clarity and things of that nature. So I'm offering people the ability to either rent them or own them. Now, those people who participated in the first class are the only ones who will be considered to allowed to enter the second class, because there's no sense of you jumping to the second class and you're not proficient in the first. You know what I mean? So we're necessarily giving everybody an opportunity to rent it, because before that I had some issues where people were kind of ghost riding. So they'll follow, but they don't interact with the class. And what ends up happening is people take what I say and then they try to remix it and they try to turn it into their 10-point plan on spiritualism. And it's not even about it's not about paying homage, but at the end of the day, I worked hard to get this information and I went through a lot of trials and tribulations. So it's unnerving for somebody to come thereafter and take what I put forth and then remix it, and they be selling people some new age junk, and I'm not having that. So we giving out some free passes to some people here on Knowledge's platform, so that Knowledge could donate them or figure out how to raffle them off to people who are interested in the class. We got the book, the coloring book on what's that? On Amazon right now. You go to Amazon, you can get the coloring book. The first book is exclusively comes out of me, or there's a botanica in West New York called El Cacique, CAQUIC. What is this? CE. It's in West New York. The owner and I have an agreement. He sells my books. He ships them out because a lot of people are very impatient and they don't like to wait. So I'm necessarily not that proficient with the shipping of books and things of that nature. I'm not a factory, so I put that burden on a good friend of mine. He has a botanica, and then at the botanica you can purchase any of the things that you require to practice spiritualism. He has for sale, so it's kind of like a one-stop shop. Yeah, we're giving out some passes, some free passes to people so that they can become familiar with the class and hopefully catch up. And by the third year, we would necessarily everybody be up to speed, and we can have a large. But hopefully, when we get back to being indoors and being able to congregate, have some sort of a retreat or something, and to offer services for people, and to expose people to other people like myself who I trust. You understand? Because there's a lot of people out there and they got a lot of fuck shit with them. A lot of people they like the position, they like the power, they like the money, and I can't put my stamp on everybody. So I necessarily want to have. I'm trying to create an environment where the people that I trust that have the same gifts and same integrity necessarily can begin to assist people and start to teach people, because it's not really about me just doing this shit. It's about teaching other people so that, you know, they can begin to affect others, you know?
That's definitely real. That is definitely real. I look forward to next month. We have a conversation, you know, surrounding another topic. You know what I mean? But before, well, I think that'll be the topic next month. I do it, you know, next month when you come back on. You know what I'm saying? Because your perspective is not like the mainstream that we hear out here. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's that Matrix Zion shit. Everybody gonna be dancing with the lions and lambs and shit. That's just not real. Like, get the fuck out of here with that shit. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I don't participate in that bullshit. Like, I'm gonna get to you up there. Like, this is what it is. You know, spiritualism is not kumbaya. It's not rainbows and cupcakes. It is something that one has to work at. There is a bad side to it. You know, you just be channeling things. You know the funniest shit is? Let me tell you, if everybody's out there listening, stop listening to all of this sage shit. First of all, sage opens up portals. You don't burn sage unless you know what the fuck you about to call. Right? Everybody be like, let's sage it up. Like, wait a minute, that's not what it's for. Sage opens up portals to allow certain things through. So if you opening up these portals and you ain't know who you asking to come through, then you're gonna get bad results, right? And so, you know, this information is not cliche. It is not just, you gotta go look for it. You gotta do the due diligence to get the proper information, because the shit that everybody just be thinking that they know be fucking wrong. You understand? Well, I'm gonna sage it up and be like, okay, like you just opening up all the doors, like, go right ahead. Thank you very much. You understand? So, you know, it's like a lot of ignorance on top of ignorance. You know what I mean? And so, and let me tell you something. So, some people complain about how I talk. They're like, oh, he's always cussing. He's this and that. But this is my language.
Right.
If I can't express myself in my language, then I would not be earnest. Then I would be giving you false verbiage. You understand?
Right.
There's a African scholar by the last name of Thiongo, Ngugi Thiongo, right? He's from Kenya. And he stresses about the ability of us to necessarily have our own language. Understand that when you're speaking in the language of your oppressor, you are not exactly expressing yourself, because you're speaking from the mind of the oppressor, because that's the oppressor's articulation. So we have slang and we have, ratchet talk for a reason, because when I talk like this, you understand that I'm being truthful and earnest. There's nothing to hold back. And it's not because I don't have a grasp of the lexicon of the amount of words that they are in the English dictionary. My usage of profanity does not determine whether or not my IQ. Let me be very clear about that. That is a false fucking statement. Oh, you only use profanity because you don't know enough words. No, nothing means fuck better than fuck. I'm just sorry. Like, that's just what it is. It has a whole bunch of connotations. It has a spiritual connotation. I'd be like, get the fuck out of here. Right? So when people be like, I don't like to talk to him and listen to him because you like listening to them fucking Europeans. You don't like to listen to niggas. Right? And you afraid of niggas. See, I'm not afraid of niggas. I don't give a fuck how many niggas is in front of the building. I gotta go in this building. I'm going up in there because I ain't afraid of niggas, because I know what to say to niggas. Look, son, I ain't here for the bullshit, my nigga. I'm just coming to see somebody. Right? And it's because motherfuckers be afraid of niggas, because you clench your purse in the fucking elevator when you're in the elevator with a black man, is the reason why you don't like the way I talk. because you don't know what it is to hear from a man. And so the sound of my voice makes you very uncomfortable and it intimidates you. And that is a problem that only you can work out. You understand? I ain't got nothing to do with that. So I'm going to continue to talk like this, right? And keep it 100% nigga. Because I am a nigga from where the nigga river flows through the country of niggeria and nigga. So I'm not fitting to fucking apologize to you fucking soft foot mother, you know what I'm saying, that be walking around here thinking that you're supposed to wear moccasins and sing kumbaya. Ain't nobody got time for that, because that's not how the world is. And that's not how the universe is. And so you are only fooling yourself that you think that everything is going to be utopian. That's crazy. It is idealistic and not realistic, right? So I'm gonna continue to be how I am, because at the core of it, you know that I am being earnest and honest about what I'm saying, right? And I ain't trying to sell you no 6 for no 9 or no magic beans. So you come and you listen to what I say, and if you can get the jewelry out of it and get the valuables out of it, fine. If it is too offensive to your ear, then you go listen to somebody else, because I don't have time to deal with people's raw, untapped emotions, because they have issues, and when someone speaks to them, they get emotional. There's something wrong with you. You need to take the pill, not me. You understand? So yeah, I'd be like, oh, I don't like the way he talks. So what? You understand? Everybody want everybody to pat them on the booty and to tell them that they're the greatest and give them a trophy for just showing up. Get the fuck out of here. You understand? I don't come from that. You got to qualify yourself. And so all the Babas and the Yayas, I'm going to need you to qualify yourself. If you're a chief, then you need to necessarily show me how much land and how much influence you got and what sheriff that you got in charge, of, because I'm not fitting to take none of these titles. I was born with this name, right? Fortunately, unfortunately, my mother gave me this name, Oba. I didn't invent it. I'm not a superhero. This is my name, right? So, I'm going to need everybody to take a step back and understand that Orisha is not going to make you turn you into a superhero. You ain't going to have fire breathing out your eyes and nothing like that. That's not going to come. That's not going to come with the Orishas, right? So, and there's no such thing as good character. One man's good character is another man's bad character. Be very clear, right?
Oh, shit. Oh, shit.
That's just the reality. You can't sell me that character shit. Get the fuck out of here with that. Like, that's bullshit. That is the Nigerian world trying to legitimize themselves in the face of Europeans with this good character bullshit. It's not about good character, because if that was the case, then you are neglecting the fact that God made everything, which is the good and the bad, and they all must exist. And so you must because there was the first Odu in our Dilagoon system says that one must commit a little bit of good and a little bit of bad, because with one the world was born and one it will be destroyed, right? And so then you can't talk that shit to me when I know Dilagoon, and I know Dilagoon and Okana Soul that says that evil must exist for there to be balance in the world. So you can take your good character and take that to the bank and see how much you get for it, because that shit don't cash out to nothing, right? So we're gonna start to necessarily give people some real deal shit and not to this fake shit. You know what I mean? This kumbaya soft moccasin wearing Eric Benet shit. Nah, we ain't doing it. Feel me? Like, yeah.
Yeah, we would. Neither one of us would be here if we went with that analogy. You see what I'm saying? Like you can cultivate yourself in a certain kind of way that makes you palatable, but just know there's another aspect of you that makes you believable. You know what I'm saying? Like you could do all of this, great work on yourself and get yourself together. That's what you wanted to attain. But when it's time to put the work in, there's the other button that you push that make what you saying believable. Peace is achieved through the absence of confusion. And the last time I checked for my life, warfare was necessary for peace to be observed and seen. You know what
I mean, you know, everybody is inundated with the ideas of these castes that they give you. This is fascism. So like, you know, so that the niggas will be on the internet. They're gonna comment right now if you're gonna hear some, oh, the brother Oba needs to eat more vegetables and his aura and blah blah blah, right? And you understand that I don't give a fuck. Like, understand that. Like, I'm not trying to be a lotus in nobody's goddamn forest. You know, somebody told me that they were like, oh, they said you fat and sloppy. I was like, and I don't care. It's comfortable for me, motherfucker. You ain't got to live in this shit because I could go up and down the stairs. I live on the 3rd floor. I don't know what the fuck you mean, right?
Right.
Like, what are you talking about? But understand that I don't care. I feel good. I smoke cigarettes because you know what? I like the taste. I'm not planning on being here forever. That's the thing. Everybody, you got all of this. You know, you worship death secretly. Because that's a lot what a lot of the people really be doing. They worship death secretly. They love when you die. They love everybody that's dead. Oh, Nipsey. Because Nipsey, you wouldn't think about Nipsey before he died. But Nipsey got a memorial to this nigga, right? So they love the dead. But when you listen, it's like, yo, what am I going to be doing here? How long am I supposed to stick around and look at this foolishness? I got to die sometime, right? So like Red Fox said, I don't want it to say die from nothing. No, motherfucker. So niggas be getting it twisted. Like, so I'm supposed to all of a sudden eat fruits and berries and all of that. And then what I say means something? Nah, that's ignorant. Okay? That's ignorant. And that is fascism on a very small scale because they want everybody to be like everybody. So everybody's supposed to have to go to Crunch and do the Pilates, right? And drink green juice and not say anything that is, you know, racially insensitive, right? And respect somebody if they want to be a caterpillar because they're a caterpillar. And I'm supposed to do all of that. Man, get the fuck out of here. You understand? Get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. That shit's not real. I'm not fit to drink no green juice until I decide to. Right? When I want to, this shit tastes good. I'll drink, give me some more of that shit. Right? But I'm not going to be on your regimen because that's what you think makes my aura, because you don't know what my aura carries. Because if you did, I'd be paying you and you'd be giving me a reading.
Right.
Yeah. Only person that can tell me some shit right now is Lloyd Strayhorn, right? When I go see Lloyd Strayhorn and give me the wrong thing, I'll be like, yes, Bobby, this shit is right. Right? When I go to Cuba, I sit down and my godfather and them read me, or when I go in front of another elder. But until then, the niggas on the internet, I don't care what you think. Oh, the brother needs to eat more bean sprouts. So what? I don't care. Know that. You feel me? I'm not here to be your fucking, like I told you earlier, I'm not here for you to sacrifice me. You won't string me up and be like, oh, and the brother Oba's head, and then shoot me down. You're not doing it. I'm good. You understand? Sock it to my pocket, like A.A. Rashid said. Sock it to my pocket. I give you something for exchange, no robbery. Sock it to my pocket. We ain't got nothing else to talk about. Feel me? Nothing else. I'm not here to just listen to the stories. I'm giving to them. You write them down. Do whatever you gotta do. But what you won't do, like I said, that's why I stopped the class, because niggas be ghost riding. Let me say something before I go. Before I showed up on the scene, wasn't nobody claiming to be Congo nothing. Let's be clear about that. Before I showed up on the scene, wasn't nobody talking Congo nothing. Congo before Kemet set a precedent. It changed the conversation, but they ain't gonna tell you that. They're gonna tuck me away in the YouTube archives. Feel me? Yeah. They wasn't talking no Congo nothing before I showed up on the scene. The only Congo they had was Palo Mayembe when Bobby and Panic and them was talking that crazy shit. And the only reason why I be going at him is because you want to profit from something that you don't want to pledge allegiance to.
In. Real shit.
You selling T-shirts and you got all of the Paulo Femas on the T-shirt, but you ain't never got cut and swore no blood to no Paulo. So that means that you's a culture vulture. Let's be clear. So there wasn't nobody talking no Congo before nothing before I showed up. And we understand that the Congo before Kemet was put out without my permission. Somebody, an ex-godson of mine, took it and was out there reproducing it and putting it out there. Because if you wasn't at that, it was only about like a handful of people at that lecture in ATL.
Right. You
feel me? So let's be clear. So when the dudes be talking all of this Congo and all that, I'm Congo, Bangwa, all of these names and all that, you wasn't all of that before I showed up on the scene. You feel me? So this is why I had to stop the class, because it was ghost riders that will watch my stuff and then go home and remix it and then come up with some new age shit and then try to sell it like they've been about that life and they don't have no qualifications. So we're not arguing with nobody. We just ain't enabling nobody. We just gonna cut you off. You feel me?
Right.
So, like I said, it ain't about arrogance or anything. This information was not given to you, and that's just what it is. All the John Henry Clarks, everybody else before me was talking about Kemet, the Sudan, but they was not talking about the Congo. Okay? And so let's give it up where it belongs. You're welcome, because you wouldn't have that conversation to even talk about what was going on in the Congo and listen, oh, this is how it's connected from the Kwa and the Twa people and all that. I'm the guy that gave you the glue to put that together. So, with that being said, I'm not fitting to change my vernacular. I don't care if it don't make you fuzzy inside. Everything that I'm saying, go get somebody to dispute it. That's all. You feel me?
That's real.
That's just it. So, you know how to do knowledge. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Close to the chest, man. You
That's
know?
real.
So, it's, you know, like I said, it's Kere ya, a glass of water and a candle. You hear Omidina Productions, a Apatiki Theater. That's what we're doing. We are in control of the Apatikis, not these other yayas and all of that. They out here telling these bedtime stories that they got from white anthropologists. That shit don't equate to nothing. They ain't Orisha stories. Apatiki are associated to Odu and to ritual nuance. Okay? They don't just make stories about, you know, Shango just woke up one morning and he got a pumpkin and all that. Like, nah, it don't go like that. It gotta be some moral fiber or something to it. So, yeah, man, that's what it is, Marlon. I'm about to, you know what I mean, sign off, but they know where to find us at Omidina Productions. You know what I mean? You could get the link on Vimeo to get to the classes. I'm gonna have Nirvana send you some passes so that you can, you know what I mean? You could divvy them out to the people who you feel are worthy, you know what I'm saying, that are truly on looking to be on this journey or appreciate the information. And we just gonna keep doing what we're doing, man. You know?
Right. That's right.
Keep doing what we're doing. So I'm gonna see you next month.
Yeah, next month we at it.
Say less, man. You know, you always got my you know what I mean, my opinion or my views anytime you want.
Right.
All right?
All right, Bob. Appreciate you.
Bob.
Shout out to my brother Oba, man. Always keeping it the way it need to be kept. You know what I'm saying? So if y'all interested in anybody that tuned in that wanted this access, you know, I got a few spots for you, a few free passes for the people to come and check that out. Okay. So I'm gonna sign off. Catch us live at the God Hour, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. IG Journey with General Steele of Smith & Wesson. That's right. 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. on IG, or y'all can wait for that interview to be converted up here on YouTube. So, most def. Email me at donaldsradio@gmail.com or follow the show on IG. Hit it on IG, either Do Knowledge Radio or Knowledge 10357 on Instagram. All right. Yeah, so check us out 7 p.m. IG. You know what I'm saying? Follow, like, share, subscribe, comment. Appreciate everybody come through and support. Y'all see the, ticker going in if y'all want to make a donation to the longevity of the station. Y'all can do so with Cash App, $ Knowledge Won't Allow, or PayPal.me/Do the Knowledge Radio.
Patty Theater with me, Oba. 30 plus episodes on spiritualism is now available on Vimeo and demand. Topics include spiritual cleansing, how to build your first Boveda, succubus and incubus, witches, warlocks, and many, many more. Browse the Omadina Productions Vimeo page and learn at your own pace. All lectures are available to buy and rent. And once a month, participate in an exclusive live Q&As brought to you by Omadina Productions and hosted by myself, Oba Ade Dayo. Visit omidina.com for details. See you soon.
Yeah. Now we gonna tell them. That in front. We tell them like this, yo. I'm an African. I'm a African. I'm a African. I'm a African. Yeah, y'all like that? No more. This man's mind is open. I'm a African. I'm a African. I'm a African. I'm a. Let's get
and
back
that
to
motive
the
is best developed by recognizing the common enemy.